It's so good to be back here. Last week, Tuesday, I came on live quite late, and unfortunately, I was unable to post the video. So, please permit me to quickly run over what I read last week, Tuesday, and then go on with what we have for today. So, last week, Tuesday, I started with the number 17 quotation, and then it talks about the secret recording of nourishing life. And it says, if one is able to keep the true singularity, which is the Zenji of the Wuji state, then the breathing will not be to and fro, and it's going to be like the fetus in the mother's womb. This is called great steadiness. And literally, the commentary says that Zenji means real one, real singularity, or real singleness. One, or singularity, implies the main energy polarity of a human constructed by the spiritual center and the key center. Thank you for joining. I can see you, Ogini 28. All right. As mentioned earlier, these two centers constitute the two energy poles of our body and are connected via the spinal cord, otherwise called the thrusting vessel. So the two polarities are the upper dantian and the real lower dantian, which is around the abdominal region. So when the brain, the upper dantian, and the second brain, which is the gut, the real lower dantian, is being connected by the spinal cord, then it is the thrusting vessel that connects that. Alright, so one handles our spiritual life, that is the upper dantian, which is the brain, upper region, and the other supplies our physical life, that is the lower dantian. Now, these two polarities, however, since they are connected through the highly electrically conductive spinal cord, they function as one. Thank you for joining all the way, Mr. Dayo. Thank you. So, when the brain being connected by the spinal cord to our gut, these two begins to function as one. And this is the idea behind oneness or seeking for singularity. Okay, so they correspond with each other simultaneously and closely relate to each other. The gut does not have memory, but all the same, it cannot forget, because whatever it experiences, it sends it up the spine to the brain so that it can be stored as memory. Now, the lower dantian, which is the abdominal region, belongs to yang, which supplies the quantity of ki, our energy. Gracias, Agos, for Uname. Okay, it supplies this ki, our energy, the bioelectricity. So the quantity of ki supplied by the abdominal region, the lower dantian, nourishes our physical life, whereas the upper dantian belongs to the yin, which is soft. Okay, and this controls the quality of the ki manifestation. So if we send messages, impulses through the spine to the brain can now decide on which intention it wants to manifest and the quality of energy manifestation. Let's remember that energy cannot be created, cannot be destroyed, but can be changed from one form to the other. So this intention becomes an action which we can use to achieve certain things that will make happen. So that's why I call it Neuro Achievers Way. Okay. All right. So now, yin and yang are the two faces of the same thing, just like a magnet that has two polarities which cannot be separated from one another. That is why it is said that what is Zenji? Zenji means the body's yin, the body's spirit, and yang, physical body, being unified as one. So when the spirit and the physical body becomes one, there will be harmony. There will be ease of achieving what we intend to achieve, of manifesting our innermost realities. Okay, so now the Taoist document called the Thesis of Retaining the Shen and Firming the Key said, if a human is able to place his original truth, pure mind, at the heaven valley, which is a spiritual valley, then it is a Tao or the natural way of keeping the Zen Ji, of keeping things unified. Yes, good to see you, bro. It's been a long time. Thank God for social media. Okay, so the head is considered as heaven, which is up, while the perineum, the space between the anus and the private part, is considered the the sea bottom. So the abdomen itself is ocean of ki, ocean of energy. Then the depth of that sea, the sea bottom, is the perineum. So once before, we have talked many times before that when we breathe and we and coordinate our breathing with the suction of the rectum. That is, we pull it in gently, we pull it out gently, coordinated with our breathing in and breathing out, inhalation and exhalation, we are able to coordinate our energy. So if we want to send energy up the spine to the brain, it goes along inhalation and pulling in of this perineum. Okay, now is a sea bottom, sometimes referred to as ocean, the bottom of bliss of the ocean. Therefore, heaven valley means the valley in the head, okay, namely the spiritual valley called Shen Gu. When the Shen, the spirit, is able to stay at its residence, the mud pit palace, then Ki can then be kept at its center as well. So we are not confused, we are not agitated, we are able to keep calm um, in the face of panic. Now, from this, we see that to keep the mind at these two poles means to maintain the singleness or singularity. When the mind stays at these two polarities, this mind will not be attracted or distracted by the outside world, and the key, our energy, can also stay at its residence without leaving or being consumed haphazardly. That's why it is said that embryonic breathing is the Tao, the nature of abiding at the real one. That is, our Shen, the spirit, the breathing, which generates ki energy, are mutually relying on each other. Okay, so when the chain condenses or concentrates, the key will be stabilized because it stays at its residence. I've said one many times before, the formula E is equal to mc squared. If E is energy and then m is the material and c squared means we are able to condense or concentrate our energy so it can manifest. So energy is a manifestation of our concentration. So the Taoist document titled Observing Verses says, if one is able to abide at the Zenji, the singularity of the two polarities, then our breathing, which generates ki, will not be to and fro, will not be scattered. It is also said that if we are able to abide at this Zenji, if you are able to abide in oneness, then our real key, the energy of our core, will condense by itself. Yang Shen can be gathered. The power of the spirit that can be manifested will be gathered, and much will be a lot. Now, though the spirit controls the manifestation of ki, the spirit is the manifestation of the ki. Yes, we have intention. That's the Shen, the spirit. And what we intend is what we may manifest. So this intention controls of the energy we put maybe into movement, maybe into achieving or doing certain things, but then itself is a manifestation of energy. That's why Shen is classified to be yang, to be positive, that is generating outwardly. Now, number 18 is on the secrets of spiritual applications of all veracious holy embryo, and this talks about the methods of transporting ki, the energy. So, if to the top, to the Ning One, the mud pill palace, and to the bottom, to the Ming Men, the real lower dantian, two sceneries are following each other mutually, then it can save the remaining days and increase longevity. If there is no control from the Shen when exhaling, then this breathing is not complete. If there is no governing from the Shen when inhaling, again the breathing is not complete either. If you are able to coordinate and harmonize the Shen and Qi mutually in every breathing, then the embryo can be conceived from concealed Qi, and the Qi can be produced through embryonic breathing. In this case, the embryonic Qi can be congealed internally and will never die. When it has succeeded, the male will be able to gather the jing, the real essence of life, and the female is able to bear the baby. Through the emotion, though the emotion is touched by desire, it cannot compete against Shen. This is the way of returning the essence and nourishing it to the Shen, and this is the breathing cultivating secret of the uppermost pure jade real person. That is, those who have obtained the uppermost real Tao. If you are able to practice it daily, you will obtain its knacks of cultivation and gradually conform with the uppermost real Tao. Here, what is Ning Wan? Ning Wan is a Taoist term which literally means mud pill, and it implies the brain or the upper dantian. The spiritual valley Shengu between the two hemispheres of the brain is called Ni Wan Gong, and it means mud peel palace. Palace here means the place where the Shen resides. Then, what is the physical implication of mud peel? The writer believes it refers to the pineal and pituitary glands. When these two glands are nourished with abundant Qi, which is the bioelectricity, hormone production will be abundant, and naturally the body's metabolism through biochemical reaction will function smoothly. Naturally, our vital life force, our life vital force becomes strong and the Shen can be high. Now, Mingmen, which is life door, in this sense means the real lower dantian instead of the Mingmen cavity in acupuncture. The real lower dantian stores Qi and the energy for life. Now we say the real lower dantian is just few inches below the navel around the abdomen, and if you can trace our navel to our back corresponding on the spine, that is where it's called Mingmen, in this case the life door. Now, the article we are treating as number 18 points out that the Shen at the upper dantian and the Qi at the real lower dantian are mutually coordinated and harmonized with each other. These are the two energy poles which establish the central energy system of our lives. In order to make the Shen and Qi harmonize with each other, we must know how to use embryonic breathing to unify them, and then the spiritual embryo can be conceived. In order to reach this goal, we must first keep our Shen and then our Qi at their residences. To reach this state, we keep our mind at the spiritual center and also the Qi center. Once we can do so, the central energy will be firm and strong. Next, we need to lead the Shen downward to unify the Qi at the real lower dantian. In this case, the two polarities will become unified and become one. This is what is referred to as the Wuji state, the initiation of life. Alright, thank you for following up till here. We go to number 19, which is the secrets of spiritual applications of all veracious holy embryo. Talking about the secrets of removing hundreds of internal vision barriers in embryonic breathing. Embryonic breathing serves to calm us down, to remove anything that can obscure our mental clarity. So let's see what the quotation asks for us. It says, what is embryonic breathing about? World people, that is laymen, do not know. However, many ancient vicious persons, those who understand the Tao, have have all verified its results. If you do not obtain this method from gaining the oral secrets, you will not be able to start your practice. Furthermore, if without personal instruction you go ahead to do it, you are only the first class of fool, according to what is written here. And it says, even if you have stabilized a Zen monkey, the emotional mind that jumps about, okay, it is pulled by different distractions, and you have seized a Yi horse, the Yi horse, which is wisdom mind, which is more stable and more logical. It often wastes the gong fu, waste of energy and time, and you cannot achieve it greatly. So if you are one of those who really wish to cultivate and train embryonic breathing, and you wish to catch the Zen monkey and his trained the Yi horse, then you must first regulate your ki and calm your breathing. You clarify your sin, your emotions, you cease your worries, you forget the emotions, consequently there is a response. You will get results. If you're not doing all this, then the time will pass without you having any result, and this time will be wasted. So, if there is no instruction from a teacher, it is hard to know it. According to Chinese tradition, there are two minds in our body: the emotional mind, which is called Xin or heart, and the wise logical mind, which is called Ji. Xin is compared to an ape, Yuan, which, though small, it makes a lot of noise and generates great disturbance, whereas Yi is compared to a horse, Ma, which, though large and powerful, can nevertheless easily be restrained. So this document points out two things. First, the theory is clear, but the training methods must be obtained from an experienced master. We can read up the theory, but to train, we need the guidance of a mentor. And in the Chinese tradition, in order to prevent the writing secrets being revealed to outside people, normally there are some hidden oral secrets which allows you to connect the practice with the theory. These oral secrets are generally passed down through personal instruction between a master and a trustworthy student. Number two, if you now wish to reach the goal of enlightenment through embryonic breathing, you can not achieve this goal by just regulating your Xin and Ji. You must first learn how to regulate your Qi through stabilizing your breathing. Only then can your mind be clear and separated from emotional disturbance. And number 20, which was where we stopped last Tuesday, is talking about the complete book of principal contents of human life and temperament, and it's a family secret of embryonic breathing. And it says, what is thou? It is only a grand emptiness, Tai Su, that is space. The heaven, the earth, the sun, and the moon are all generated from this grand emptiness. Therefore, the heaven and the earth are the real embryo of this grand emptiness, and the sun and the moon are the real breathing of this grand emptiness. If one is able to conform with this grand emptiness, that is, you are able to unify the human and the nature, human unified to nature, then the heaven and the earth constitutes my embryo. You own it, it becomes yours, your own microcosm. Okay, and the sun and the moon becomes my breathing. Okay, what is contained in this grand emptiness also becomes my contents. In this case, how can I be parted from the contents of the heaven and the earth, the sun and the moon, and become confused like other people? So when you become one with nature, you don't get confused anymore. You are regulated. You are able to move with the movement of nature. So the Tao itself cannot be seen, and it is very even impossible to describe it accurately with our limited understanding. So if we force ourselves to explain it, the closest is Tai Su, meaning grand emptiness. It is from this grand emptiness that the material world was initiated. Therefore, the heaven and the earth are actually the embryo of the Taixu or the Tao. The natural ceaseless cycling which causes the energy change of the universe is the breathing of the universe. We know that every matter, every atom vibrates in its own axis, in its own position. Okay, so similarly, a human body can be considered as heaven and earth. If we are able to unify our physical body and spiritual body with the heaven and earth, that is with nature, then the embryo of heaven and earth is also my embryo. And the breathing of the heaven and earth is also my breathing. It does not matter how and what, we are part of this nature. We are an extension of the intention of the Creator. Okay? Now, if we are able to unite ourselves with nature, then we are able to harmonize our spirit with it. To do this, first we must find the origin of our lives and trace back its root. This root is our key center, our core, our spiritual center, key center and spiritual center. So these two polarities formalize a central yin and yang root, which thus supplies our life both spiritually and physically. So if we are able to return our spirit and key to these two polarities, we will be able to reunite ourselves with nature. The spiritual center is located at the head and is considered to be the heaven, while the key center is situated at the lower abdominal area and is considered to be the earth, joined, unified by the spine to become one. So let's go on to number 21, the complete book of the principal contents of human life and temperament. This is Zing Kong Zi's Secrets of Embryonic Breathing. It says, my original body is round and bright originally. What is round and bright? It is my real embryo of the heaven and the earth. My original body is empty and silent originally. What is empty and silent? It is the breathing of the sun and moon in my body. Only if there is a real embryo of the heaven and the earth in my body, then the embryo of the heaven and the earth of nature, to say, can be blended with my embryo and therefore carry my embryo as well. Only if there is a real breathing of the sun and the moon in my body, then the breathing of the sun and the moon, that is of nature, is able to blend with my breathing and therefore breathe my breathing. In this case, my original body will become insubstantial emptiness. When this happens, the insubstantial emptiness of the natural insubstantial emptiness will blend with my insubstantial emptiness and insubstantially empty my insubstantial emptiness. Very, very beautiful. Round and bright means a mind spiritually perfect and clean without a slight dirty thought, without emotional disturbance. Then the real spiritual embryo can be derived in my body. My physical body was originated from emptiness and it is part of the great nature. This great nature repeats its cycle through key exchange, inhalation, exhalation, which is breathing. Now, sun and moon cycle of the day and month. Within our body, we have the key cycle through breathing. In order to have a deep and profound key exchange and circulation, after we have entered into a deep meditative state, all material around us gradually disappears and our bodies become transparent and empty. When we have reached this stage, the natural key exchange and our body's key exchange will be unified as one. Through key exchange, millions of lives are derived between the heaven and the earth. Through correct embryonic breathing, due to the smooth key exchange and circulation, a spiritual embryo will be generated in our bodies. And the human body is considered as a small heaven and earth, while nature is considered as the great heaven and earth. When our spirit and the natural spirit have been unified, then everything is empty since everything is originated from nothingness. So there are many millions of lives. The life is in the breath. So when we breathe in, we breathe out, there are millions of life for each and every breath we draw. Number 22, the secrets of spiritual applications of all veracious holy embryos. The Liu Zen Ren's secrets of embryonic breathing. It says most people in this world do not know that the body we are using daily is originated from the creation and variation of the substances. Alas, this is formalized by the key from heaven. When the original essence does not weaken, then matter is formalized and becomes object. We say that matter, when condensed, materializes, it manifests. All is energy. Above, it relies on the heaven's clean key and therefore gathers, becoming the shape. And below, it connects with the earth's dirty key and condenses into a body. In this body is contained a soul truth, the Ji Zen. The world people, ordinary people, do not recognize this and consequently leak out to outside the body. This simple truth means the protection of Jing, which is our essence, our life. Protection of Jing, Qi, and Shen, our spirit. If you do not know how to keep and protect these three things, then you are old and near death. Those holy men, that is, persons who have reached Tao, will not leave, will not stop training these three methods of protecting their Jing, Qi, and Shen. Even a minute in their walking, living, sitting, or lying, or any other daily activities, after a long time of practice, the spiritual embryo gets conceived and they become immortal. It is praised as a human living in this world does not know its root, all the time searching for the greedy mind and giving up its original real being, that is their natural temperament, if he does not know how to regulate the real breathing and key so as to nourish his original yang till today, and that is consequently the heaven will be hungry and sickness will still tackle his body. So when we waste our essence, we fall sick, we lose our ease, we shift away from our core, our central position, our center of gravity. Now, all living objects are the products of the heaven and the earth, key, that is the natural energies. And in all of them, there is an essence concealed within. Through absorbing the natural energy, the natural key, they are able to grow and formalize the shape of their physical appearance. This is also true for the human. After the embryo is conceived, through absorbing the natural key, it grows into a baby. After being born, through conservation and training of this essence, and continuously absorbing the natural key and cultivation of our spirit, we are able to extend our lives and reach the goal of spiritual enlightenment. Therefore, these three treasures, or three origins, Jing, Qi, and Shen, are the true values of our lives. It seems they are the three items. In fact, it is only one. They are all related to each other and cannot be separated. Generally, a human's mind is greedy and the thoughts have been contaminated by emotional desires such as glory, dignity, power, jealousy, and all. When our emotional mind continues to absorb us or disturb us, we will continue to lose our original essence, affect our smooth key circulation, and naturally we dirty our original pure spiritual human being. In this case, it does not matter how much you are able to regulate your breathing and key, you will eventually become sick and lose your life. The key to embryonic breathing is learning how to protect our original essence, to maintain our smooth key, that is energy circulation, also how to raise up the spiritual vitality. In order to keep our mind steady and calm at the upper and real lower dantians, the most important thing is to learn how to regulate our emotional mind. So, the writer offers us in this paragraph a crucial key to embryonic breathing, and it is regulation of our emotional mind and continuing to search for the truth in protecting our original essence, ki, and shen. Number 23, the righteous rules of heavenly immortality. This is a straight discussion of embryonic breathing. When a human being is just beginning to formalize, it is only a combination of two keys, yin and yang keys, and it is as empty as the air. Therefore, there is no embryo and also no breathing. It is because of the mother's respiration the embryo is formalized. When the embryo is formalized, it begins the embryonic breathing. It is marvelous that the embryo's respiration follows the mother's respiration and therefore breathing all day without feeling stagnation of the oxygen. This is achieved not from the embryo's mouth or nose respiration, since there is only a connection through navel, and thus as if there is no breathing at all. This is the scene of the real embryonic breathing. It is believed that a new life is originated from the combination of yin and yang keys. Yin key implies the key coming from the mother, while the yang key is the key coming from the father, the ovum, and the sperm. Since ki is an energy which does not have material form, it is empty. If there is no materialized form, then there is no life yet, and thus no breathing. Later, the embryo is conceived and grows. It breathes following the mother and obtains oxygen and nutrition from her. This is how embryonic breathing occurs. So the article implies that the ki originated from the original essence is yin ki, that is the water key guiding the kidneys, while the key originated from the post-M essence is the yang key, that is the fire key coming from the heart to warm. Now, when these two keys are unified at the Wang Ting, the one at the abdomen water key guiding the kidneys moves up, and then the one from the heart comes down, they meet in the solar plexus, then the spiritual baby embryo can be conceived and formalized. Now, in order for this embryo to grow, one must continue the yin ki nourishment, and this yin ki is considered as a mother's key which is able to nourish the spiritual embryo and allow it to grow. However, in order to generate abundant yin ki, the original key, we must learn how to protect and conserve our original essence. And to reach this goal, we must keep our mind at the center without being attracted to the world. Through the correct slender and soft breathing, the baby embryo can be grown into the one thing. Okay, now the secrets of spiritual applications of all variations of embryo says what is original key? What is the one key? It is the mother of the heaven and the earth, the water of the earth down, down. The original natural quality of the yin and yang. In objects, it is named the key of purity and remedy. In human, it is named the original key. This means in human physical and temperament. Each day and night there are 13,500 respirations, and often the real key, the original key, leaks through the nose and mouth during these respirations. Only men, persons who have reached Tao, who practice embryonic breathing, always take in the key and store it in the real Dan Tian. Therefore, the air is out and in slenderly. The mind is steady and the body is peaceful. Consequently, gain longevity. What is longevity? It is a result of mutual harmonization of the Xin, Shen, and Qi. It belongs to the truth of the Tao. Lastly, for today, we see number 25. Let's see number 25, or I wouldn't know. Let's see. The secrets of spiritual applications of all veracious holy embryo. Continuing, it says, whoever wishes to cultivate his human nature or temperament should burn incense and enter into an isolated room Sit quietly with profound sin, emotional mind with an intention. Bite the teeth and gather the shen. Calm the ye horse and tame the sin monkey and place them together at the real dantian. Nourish them with warm key. Do not allow the internal vision out. It is just like a commander matches his soldiers. Then the shen is the commander and the key is the army. Where the key arrives, the shen also arrives. The shen is like the morale, spirit. Okay? Two things mutually chase each other, not allowed to separate. Thus, 10,000 sicknesses will not be related, and thousands disasters all exterminated. If those who wish to study the Tao have already gained this method, they should practice diligently. So it emphasizes mastery, the gong fu of internal vision, because it will take a lot of time, effort to reach a profound level of this inner feeling. So that is why it's mastery, gong fu. So we have to pay attention to our internal feeling and cutting off all feeling and vision that connects with the outside world. That is focus, concentration in a meditative state. I think we have some more time so that we can complete this session. I go to number 26. This is classic and it says, the heaven and the earth are the thieves of the million objects. Million objects are the thieves of humans, and humans are the thieves of the million objects. These three ways are mutually adverse with each other, which results in the loss of the real key, essence, and shen, consequently the loss of the embryonic breathing, and it cannot be formalized. Therefore, those who cultivate human nature and temperament do not love million objects, and thus their human temperament will not be stolen naturally. Therefore, it is said, Ben Fen, that is, keeping honest. What does Taoist do? What the Taoists do is, I don't want what is yours. You don't want what is mine. And I just simply keep what I have already acquired honestly. That is Shou Fen. Then, what is Shou Fen? That is, keep what I already have. What does it mean? It is without exit and without entrance. Always keep myself, my human nature and being at its root and origin, not moving, not still, not going, not coming, as if it is there and as if it's not there. I am just like a dead living human. Then immortality is near. When millions of objects die, they lose their essence and key to the heaven and earth. That is, we have different desires, uncountable desires. I think we process like about 12 to 13 thoughts per second. Okay, I read it somewhere. So when we have different objects, different desires, and they are pulling us here and there, we may not be able to achieve our growth. But when millions of objects die, they lose their essence, they lose their key, okay, to heaven and earth. Therefore, the heaven and the earth are the thieves of millions of objects. Humans consume the essence and key of millions of objects. That is, the air we breathe, the food we eat, plants die, they bring forth and they grow, then they make roots, crops, and other things. But when they die, they leave it to the heaven and the earth. We feed on these things, the air, the food, and other substances. And therefore, we are like the consumer or thieves of the million objects. When humans die, the essence and key return to the nature and are consumed by the millions of objects, animals, plants, okay, used up as fertilizer or manure. And therefore, it's a cycle. Millions of objects consume humans. So we have a natural cycle, like an ecosystem. There is an interdependency. So, in order to practice embryonic breathing and achieve longevity, we must first restrain our emotional desires, conserve our essence, keep our mind at the real lower dantian. In this case, our mind will not be attracted by the outside world, and consequently, our essence and key can be kept in their residences. So, when we say Ben Fen, it means keep what you deserve or fulfill what you should fulfill. And when we say Shou Fan, it means to keep what you should keep and do not go beyond. Therefore, it implies to protect, to keep, and to preserve our original essence and be precious, be diligent in keeping our key at its residence, the real lower dantian. When we treat ourselves like a dead person, that we are dead to the players of this world, our emotions will not be touched, attracted, or scattered by the outside environment, things that attract us. In this case, we'll be able to regulate our mind and we are able to keep it at the real lower dantian. Now, the keys of longevity are: one, keep the mind at the real lower dantian and not being attracted by outside events. Two, protect and preserve your original essence and key. Number 27. This says to cultivate means to establish a strong will and to nourish, which means to take care, to tame, to reach the truth sincerely. Those who wish to cultivate the breathing must first cultivate their essence. If they wish to cultivate the essence, they must first cultivate their shen, the will, the intention, the spirit, the morale. If they wish to cultivate their shen, they must first cultivate their temperament, their desire, their behavior, their character. Now, if they wish to cultivate their temperament, they must first cultivate their physical lives. Okay, what you do. So, because an act can become a habit can become a character can go on and on. We form our destinies. So, what the temperament and life mean? It means the shen and ki, the soul and the vigorous energy, the yin and the yang, the yin and the yang, the kan and the li. After practicing for a long time, the holy embryo can be formed, and this is the real embryonic breathing. If we want to cultivate anything, we need a strong will to accomplish it. Otherwise, we will fail. Therefore, the first step of practicing embryonic breathing is to establish our confidence, and a strong commitment to ourselves. Some people say, I want to lose weight, but they don't follow through. They don't stick to it. They don't follow through with the plan. They don't stick to the regimen. So we must be able to strengthen our confidence so we can follow through. Next, we must understand that the cultivating process is long and time consuming. The formalization of a spiritual embryo is through continuous key nourishment. Okay, through correct breathing. If you keep breathing correctly, we can keep nourishing our energy. Once the spiritual embryo is conceived, it is truthful, it is pure, it is simple and restrained as a baby. Therefore, the goal of nourishment is truth, purity, simplicity of the spiritual embryo. Then, this newness is formed within us and it's easy to express it without having to change because of certain things that happen. Now, to cultivate this correctly, we must learn how to firm our essence, conserve it without wasting it. And in order to do this, we will have to firm our spiritual center, our willpower. And for this, we regulate our temperament, restrain our desires, and control our emotions. This is the yin side of a human being. However, we must also have a strong physical body, which is the yang side, so that we can support our life. Because without it, we will become sick and the mind will be scattered, emotional, and confused. Therefore, the temperament, which is the yin, and the physical health, which is the yang, are the two most important things for our training. The way to reach this goal is through cultivation of the shen and ki. When the shen and ki are cultivated, the soul and the vigorous energy can be strong. This is the way of the yin and yang balance. Number 28 says, those who are moving are originally moving, and those who are still are originally still. There was no such moving or stillness in ancient time originally. However, The origin of the movement and stillness is initiated through the unsteady thinking of all lives. Ancient wise men taught us how to stabilize, how to calm down the breathing. When this happens, the Shen will follow, the spirit, the intention, the morale will follow the key, follow the energy pathway, and the key becomes stabilized. Consequently, the key stays at its residence and the Shen is stable. If the key is agitated, the Xin, our emotional mind, will become excited. And when the Xin is excited, then the Shen will become fatigued easily. Those who wish to cultivate the Tao, the natural way, if they do not practice embryonic breathing, then there is an origin of the movement and stillness. And in this case, how can they enter the door of Wu Wei? This doing nothing. Therefore, they are lost. So we want to maintain a balance between movement and stillness. Movement and stillness. That is being still in motion and moving while still. Alright. So movement, or we can say excitement, stillness, or we call it calmness. Here they mean that the mind's behavior. How does the mind behave? Movements are considered as yang, positive, growing outward, while stillness is considered as yin, negative or soft and going inwards. At the beginning of human history, humans were the same as all other animals. All behaved naturally and followed the Tao of nature. There was no desire or any emotional bondage or one kind of matrix. I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to achieve this, I want to be bigger, I want to be more powerful. Therefore, there was no distinctness of movement or stillness of the mind. Everything was done in a natural way. However, later humans started to create the seven emotions and the six desires, and then they became active. Then we have learned to lie, to play tricks, to cut corners, to have our way. We learned also to love, to hate, to be jealous, to be hungry, to be satisfied, to be contented, and to be dissatisfied. Consequently, we have been trapped in human emotional bondage. The seven emotions or compassions, they are happiness, anger, sorrow, joy, love, hate, and lust. And the six desires are the temptations generated from the six roots, which are the eyes, the ear, the nose, the tongue, and the body and the mind. Once we have generated these emotions and desires, the mind actively leads the key away from its residence and consumes it. In order to preserve the key and allow it to stay at its residence, the real lower dantian, we must know how to keep our mind away from those human emotions and desires so we are able to calm down our mind, practicing the act of detachment or the act of letting go. Only when our mind has been calmed can our Shen be condensed, focused, and cultivated. In order to reach this goal, the first step is to stabilize our breathing and make it peaceful and calm. Then the physical body gets relaxed and the oxygen and key consumption will be reduced to its maximum, to its minimum. To its minimum. Now, the mind will also be centered and calm. Only then can the Shen be focused and raised up to a high level. Once we are able to do this, we will be able to return to the beginning stage of life and behave like a baby. This is a stage of no movement, no action, a stage of stillness of the mind. It is a stage of doing nothing, Wu Wei, and a stage of Wu Ji, a stage of no discrimination of yin and yang. Number 29. What is the embryo? It is the fetus grown in the palace in the womb, the place where the life is originated. Through breathing, the key is received at the Yuanhai, the original ocean, which is located 1 kun and 3 fen under the mother's navel and named Dan Tian, or the elixir field. After accepting the real essence, which is the sperm, the shape, that is the embryo, is formalized and begins to receive the key of the heaven and the earth. After 1 month, The size begins to look like a tiny pearl. 2 months as a dewdrop, 3 months as a peach or plum. This results from the pure and simple harmonious key. The embryo is in the mother's womb. When mother exhales, he exhales. When the mother inhales, he inhales. When 10 months period is up, according to Chinese calendar, regular calendar is 9 months, the key is abundant, the six emotions are generated, and the mind is toward outside, wanting to come out, and does not return his vision, that is feeling, and pay attention to its origin without protecting the inner breathing key. Consequently, there is life and death. Now, therefore, those holy men said, I should not indulge my sanshi. That is, the three origins of temptations. The activity of six emotions ceases, and the mind is always kept at the dantian through breathing. Keep there without slightly retreating. Do not get slack. Those who cultivate the Tao must first cultivate the entrance, the way of keeping the sin, the emotional mind calm. Also, they said, to the end or to terminate the sin so as to cultivate the Tao, then effort can be saved and immortality can be reached easily. For those who do not end the emotional mind first and cultivate the Tao, then in vain and useless are their efforts. First, you must end the origin of the emotional mind. Then your mind can be steady. Your wisdom mind can be steady by itself. Consequently, the dragon and the tiger, the yin and yang, can be tamed and controlled, and the success of immortality can be reached. So the Yuanhai here means the original ocean. This is a lower Dantian, the Xia Dantian, which is a lower elixir field, or Qi Hai, the key ocean, is able to produce the original key unlimitedly like an ocean. One con of Chinese length equals 1/3 of a decimeter, and one fen equals 1/3 of a centimeter. Sanshi means the three corpses. Sanshi means the three corpses, and they are the three desires which could lead one to his death. They are the temptations of money, temptation of taste, which is food, and the temptation of sex. And Liu Ging is a special Buddhist term that means six compassions, derived or generated from the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And the paragraph explains that in order to formalize a spiritual embryo, we must learn how to lead the key to the real lower dantian. In order to do so, we must first know how to regulate our emotional mind. And if our mind is tempted and excited, our key will be led away from its residence. And in this case, the spiritual embryo cannot be conceived. So the first step in cultivation is to end the activities of the emotional mind. Now the location of the dantian is 1 kun and 3 fen under the navel, and it is the palace site, the main location, that controls 360 key positions of the body. The essence, brightness or righteousness of the mind, and the shen protect the original key. There is a spiritual Totu, Shengui, inside, who alters and receives the original key, keeps the breathing to and fro. Alright, there are 13,500 respirations each day and night, and the original key has been leaked from the mouth and the nose. Consequently, the evil key has entered and invaded the body. Thus, sickness is initiated. So, to keep vitality and to keep healthy, one has to control this breathing. Now, the lower dantian is the origin of Ki's production. Named as dantian or the elixir field, his second name is Jinglu, the essence path, and thirdly named Qi Hai, the key ocean, and fourthly named as Shougong, that is abiding in the palace, and fifth can also be called Da Zhuan, that is the great origin, and sixth you can call it Shen Shi, the spiritual residence, and seventh can be called Yuan Kang, the original treasure. You can also call it an eighth name, Kai Buo, Kai Bao, which is picking the treasure. Another name, which is the ninth name, is Shuji, the earth. And 10 can call it Bengen, the original Ruth. All these names mean the residence of the grand, harmonious original key. If you know how to preserve the essence and the key at the lower dantian, then you will gain the Tao of longevity. Those who wish to cultivate the Tao, it does not matter if they are walking, stooping, stopping, sitting, or lying down, they should always absorb and contain the real breathing at the dantian. The focus is on the abdomen. Then the original key can be preserved firmly. After practicing for a long time, immortality can be reached. This is the embryonic breathing of the truthful persons, those who have reached the truth of the Tao. Alright, so we round up with this paragraph which says, since turtles can live for a long time, the term Shengui, which means spiritual turtle, is believed or used for this reason. Because we know how to keep our physical body calm, like the turtle, how to keep it still, then our Shen can be centered. So often, the spiritual turtle implies immortality of the spiritual embryo, which resides at the real lower dantian. The key to forming this spiritual turtle is through profound embryonic breathing. When the original key is able to stay at its residence, then the spiritual embryo can be conceived. After so many thousands of years of Qigong study in countless schools, there are names for the key's residence. So we saw like 10 names. So this article has only pointed out these 10 names. Next week, Tuesday, we go to the next session, 3.3, which talks about the dantian. I thank you immensely for following me up to this point. We hope to round up this book at the end of December. So, once again, to your health, to your wealth, to your happiness, to your sanity, to your longevity, and to your vitality. Thank you. Namaste. Alafia. Bye.